who knows about the story about this man or these people who were building a wall with one hand the sword and the other hand whatever the building? Anyone knows about this story? The person? Excellent. 100 points for you. You have passed for today. You can go and have your refreshment. Okay, so we're looking at Nehemiah. Okay, so I think it is written in the book of Nehemiah in your Bibles that you all brought today, or if not, Dad has left one for you. So how do I finish this so quickly? God help me. Okay, how many of you know the story of Cyrus that we spoke about? What happened with Cyrus? God blessed him, and he led. He's the king for the nations, and Israel or the Jews were with him, and he sent them home to Jerusalem. Remember? Okay, cool. That is the first lot who went. Then after that, this, did we speak about Ezra? No, we didn't. Okay, in my dreams maybe. So this guy called Ezra establishes the temple worship, and read the scriptures and teach the scriptures, and that thing is going on. Okay, then Nehemiah comes in. So it is part of that story, big story, that how Israel is going up from captivity, going to Jerusalem and setting up the temple. And we are in the place that temple is all set up, worship is going on, but there is a issue with the wall surrounding Jerusalem. Okay, right? That's where we are picking up Nehemiah. Did I say any names wrong? Sorry, I'm bad with names. Okay, so actually, if you have you turned to did I say Nehemiah? Yeah. If you turn, actually Nehemiah and Ezra, don't quote me on it, but this is what I learned, because the both authors are same, because of the way it's written and so on. People believe that it is same. So and also they believe that Ezra and Nehemiah was one book originally. Okay? Anyone disagree? Okay. Right. So this story is about 50 years after Cyrus sent the first lot back. Yeah? And right. Okay, shall we turn in Nehemiah 1 and start from verse 2? I just wanted to leave the 1 and 2 so that less reading. That Hanani, I hope that's the right name, one of my brethren came with men of Judah and asked them, and I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said to me, the survivors who are left from the captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burnt with fire. So when these people went back to Jerusalem to build rebuild the temple and all that thing, then they started building the wall. But what happens was there were some people like Samaritans. Yeah, so they are mixed people with Jews. They are the ones who are left behind when they came and when Nebuchadnezzar came to capture these Jews, they left some behind, and these Jews got mixed with other, nation, other country, and there was a crossbreed. So they are called Samaritans, and often Jews rejected them. They don't call them as Jews. So these Samaritans didn't let the Jews build this wall. In fact, they came and burnt it and they destroyed it. And, it was going on for a long time. So this is the report that is being given to Nehemiah. Yeah? Everyone with me? Or somebody left? Okay, good. So verse 4. So it was when I heard these words that I sat down and wept, and I mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before God of heaven. How many of you would cry for a wall if the wall was put down? Anybody have a wall around your house? And would you cry if the walls are brought down? You would cry? Good. Okay, that's where I was going. Why would something like that affect Nehemiah so badly? Any idea? I know it is, for some, it's like, what? He wept and cried, and he fasted and prayed for a wall. For some, it's like, yeah, it's quite obvious. Anything else you can think? I mean, how many of you read Nehemiah before? Good church. But did you ever think why Nehemiah felt this way? There's no. Amen. See, how many of you, it has happened to me, that's why I'm asking. How many of you, when the Spirit of God touches you, you weep and cry? And often it is linked to a message, especially, a message which is resonating with your heart, your calling. So this book is mainly about your calling. And Nehemiah resonated with that message that was brought to him, that he felt a burden. If ever you are crying, soon as someone gives a message about something, that's your calling, your burden. Most of you here, if we talk about soul winning and going out and, reaching the lost and all, you begin to resonate. There are others who would resonate where, slavery and captivity and, where there is, human trafficking and so on, you begin to resonate. There are others who would, something to do with children. Orphans, or what, you begin to resonate. Amen. So Nehemiah is in that place where he's beginning to resonate. And as Lily pointed out, it is a form of protection for Israel, or Jews who are living there. And Nehemiah didn't go with the first lot. He stayed. He might be second generation, but he still has a burden for his people. How many of you know Nehemiah's job title? Job title? Cupbearer. Amen. Well done. 100 marks. You may go to the. Okay. So he's a cupbearer for the king. So it is a very responsible, post, because before the king sips his wine, he's supposed to drink it. If there was poison, he's gone. So Nehemiah is in a good position, and scholars believe that he was brought in by, his relative. Forgot her name. Esther, maybe Esther. Anyway, somewhere along the passages it mentions. Okay, so anyway, he's brought to that post where king is actually trusting Nehemiah of many things, including his life. Okay, so he's in that position. Okay, right. Now, so basically, I'm reading this, and we are taking some notes. How about your calling, and about how Nehemiah reacted, for things. And I wanted to point out how immediately he went into prayer and fasting. Calling deserves to go into a time of fasting and prayer before you step out. Amen? Before execution. Right, so we are back in 5. And I said, I prayed to the Lord God of heaven, O great and awesome God, you who keep your covenant and mercy with those who love, and you observe your commandments. So he will keep his covenant with who? Those who love and keep the covenant, the commandment. Please let your ear be attentive, your eyes open, and that you may hear the prayer of your servant, which I pray before you now, day and night. So he just didn't pray Sunday morning. He prayed day and night for the children of Israel, your servants, and confess their sins. He's standing in the gap. He's like an intercessor now. He's saying, Lord, forgive their sins. Amen. Right. Of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against you. Both my father's house and I have sinned. He's even saying that he is part of it. Okay. We have acted very corruptly against you, and have not kept the commandment and the statutes, nor the ordinance which you commanded your servant Moses. Remember, I pray, that word that you commanded your servant Moses, saying, if you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. So that's how they got scattered in the first place. But if you return to me and keep my commandments and do them, though some of you were cast out to the furthest part of the heavens, yet I will gather them from there and bring them to the place which I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. Amen. Now these are your servants and your people, whom you have redeemed by your great power, and by your strong hand. O Lord, I pray, please let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant, and to the prayer of your servant to desire to fear your name. And let your servant prosper this day, I pray, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was a king's cupbearer. So what he's saying, I pray and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. Which man is he talking about? So he's asking the Lord, to grant him mercy in the sight of this man. The man is actually the king he is referring to. You know how long it took for the next part to fulfill? Oh, thank you. Chapter 2. Okay? Chapter 2 is happening after 3 months, 3 or 4 months nearly. He's been fasting and praying day and night for 3 months before the next scene here, chapter 2. Okay, and it came to pass in the month of Nisan, some say it differently, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine, Artaxerxes, sounds like Turkey to me. When the wine was before him, and I took the wine and gave it to the king. Now I had never been sad in his presence before. Therefore the king said to me, "Why is your face sad, since you are not sick? This is nothing but sorrow of heart." So the king finds out Nehemiah is not in a good place. He's very sad. Okay, so Nehemiah gets a bit scared because now king found out that he is sad. So I became dreadfully afraid and said to the king, "May the king live forever. Why should my face not be sad when the city, the place of my father's tomb, lie waste and its gates burnt with fire?" He tells the king why he is upset, why he is sad. Okay. Then the king said to me, "What do you request? What do you want me to do about this situation?" So there is a favor already opened up. Because what was the preparation? Fasting and praying. Then again, it says, verse 4, "So I prayed to the God of heaven." It must have been a really quick prayer, like, "Lord, help me, Lord, I'm going to say it now." "And I said to the king, if it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, I ask that you send me to Judah, the city of my father's tombs, that I may rebuild it." And the king said to me, the queen also sitting beside him, "How
long will your journey be?
check, yeah. How long will your journey be? Verse, please. Verse 6. Okay. "And when will you return?" So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Furthermore, I said to the king, "If it pleases the king, let the letters be given to me for the governors of the region beyond the river, that they must permit me to pass through till I come to Judah. And the letter to Aspa, the keeper of the king's forest, that he must give me timber to make beams for the gate of the citadel, which pertains to the temple, for the city walls, and for the house that I will occupy. And the king granted them to me according to the good hand of my God upon me. So he acknowledges that because of God's hand upon me, that the king has granted this. Okay? Then I went to the governors in the region beyond the river. Hello? Yeah, you're there. And gave them the king's letter. Now the king had sent captains of the army, horsemen with me, when Sanballat, the Heronite, and Tobiah, the Amorite officials heard it. They were deeply disturbed that a man had come to seek the well-being of the children of Israel. So he gets full backup from the king. He sends, some military personnel to escort him in. But there were two people who didn't like. They are like the demons in your life who don't like the assignment that God has given. Okay? So now over here they mentioned two, they actually become three in a little while. But they constantly gave Nehemiah trouble. Okay? So I'm trying to jump and is your video ready or what? Oh, no. Just volume down. Yeah. Nehemiah goes and inspects the wall in the night. Goes and without letting anyone know. In the next few passages, that's what it's talking about. He goes and inspects what is the damage, what is the cost of me, how long is it going to take, what is the force I need, and he's making an estimation. Okay, so in your calling, you need to know your cost. How many of you know your calling, what the Lord has called you to? Okay. Don't raise your hands now. How many of you fasted and prayed for your calling? Okay, so when I'm talking to you, please remember these are key things that you need to take. How many of you weighed the cost, the personal cost? This guy has to leave the king's place and go. Not only that, he has to remember, he has to make what is the cost going to be? What is the, the timber needed, the man force, whatever, I don't know what they use, like, cement or mortar or whatever. Yeah, all that you need to measure. How much are you willing to sacrifice? You can't put one hand here and one hand there on your the vision, mission that God has called. Okay? Sometimes it's not the right time. You need to wait for the right time. He waited 3 months in prayer before he, everything started happening. Yeah? Okay. So we are jumping to verse 16. The latter part of it, it says, I had not yet told the Jews, the priests, the nobles, the officials, and the others who did the work. So he didn't tell them yet. Then I said to them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and its gates are burnt with fire. Come and let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reproach. Anyone know the meaning of reproach? Okay. And I told them of the hand of my God, which had been good upon me, and also of the king's words that he had spoken to me. So they said, let us rise up and build. Then they set their hands to this good work. So finally he told the leaders of the Jewish leaders, and how he told was, look, God's hand is upon this. You can see it. And also he showed the king's letters and approval and everything. So now they have said, okay, we are going to come and help you. Okay? Amen? Righto. Still, verse 19, these guys come again. But when Sanballat and the Hironite, Tobiah the Amorite official, and Geshem the Arab, the third one came in, heard of it, they laughed at us and despised us and said, what is this thing that you are doing? Will you rebel against the king? So I answered them and said to them, the God of heaven himself will prosper us. Therefore we, his servants, will rise and build. But you have no heritage or right or memorial in Jerusalem. So this is the voices that you hear when you step out on your calling. Are you really going to do it? Can you do it? Okay. So this is a true test for him. But how did he answer? Anytime you start the ministry, a lot of people will have, good people will have good, not so very encouraging words. How do you go forward, The God of heaven himself will prosper us. Because he has given the word. He has given the burden. He was weeping for so many days and praying over this. That's a burden. God has put it there. That's why, God marks you like that, that you don't lose sight when all these voices come and mockers come. Yeah? Right. I am jumping. I'm not reading chapter 3. All right. Then chapter 4, the wall defend against the enemy. Again, this guy comes. But it so happened when Sanballat heard that we Sambalat. I know. He has to get a they have to get a good easy name, yeah? Heard that we were rebuilding the wall, that he was furious and very indignant. Where's the little one? Go and have a look. Hannah? And mocked the Jews. And he spoke before his brethren, the army of Samaria, and said, what are these feeble Jews doing? Again, will they fortify themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they complete it in a day? All these questions. Will they revive the stones from the heap of rubbish stones that are burned? How many of you like the encouragement that Nehemiah is getting? Poor guy. Now Tobiah the Amorite was beside him. And and he said, whatever they build, if even a fox goes up on it, he will break down their stone walls. How many of you like these people in your ministry? No, not in your ministry, but they were outside the ministry. A lot of people will have a lot to say. Anyway. How many of you are resonating with this story? Okay, I'm jumping to verse 6. So we built the wall, and the entire wall was joined together up to half its height. So they've come to the half the height of the wall. For the people had a mind to work. See, all this while, they had a heart to work or mind to work. So that was good. Yeah. Now it happened when these guys come again. Shambalat, Tobiah the Arab, and Amorite the Ashdodites heard of the walls of Jerusalem being restored and the gaps were beginning to close, that they became very angry. And all of them conspired together to come and attack Jerusalem and create confusion. Nevertheless, we made our prayer. What did he do? We made our prayer to our God. And because of them, we set a watch against them day and night. This is key for your ministry to go. Watch. And obviously, it relates to prayer. Okay? Where are we? What verse did I stop? Anyone knows? Yeah. Verse 10. Then Judah said, the strength of the laborers is failing, and there is so much rubbish that we not able to build the wall. Now, I think their motivation was being destroyed by this people forever coming and discouraging them. And our adversary says, they will neither know nor see anything till we come into their midst and kill them and cause the work to cease. Verse 12, it says, they told us 10 times, from whatever place you turn, they will be upon us. Therefore, verse 13, I appointed men behind the lower parts and the openings. So it is key to have watch over your weak areas of your life, of your family, of your ministry. Set a guard over that. You know these are weak areas, where the enemy can get in. Amen? How many of you are following what I'm saying? Good. Amen. I set the people according to their families with their sword, their spears, their bows. And I looked and arose and said to the nobles and leaders and the rest of the people, do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, great and awesome, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses. So he's saying, first, make sure your inner circle is safe. Your immediate family, your immediate house, your house. You secure that first for your battle. How many of you are getting it? So, if once that is secure, then you can step out. Amen? Where are we? 15? And it happened when our enemies heard that it was known to us and that God had brought their plot to nothing, that all of us returned to the wall, everyone to his work. So it was from that time on that half of my servants worked at construction, while the other half held the spear, the shield, and the bows and the armor, and so on. Okay, so I'm getting ready to land, so I'll skip a few. So that's how they rebuilt, and this is the part, that we remember, that they built the wall, one hand armor, and the other hand building it. Yeah. And the next chapter, chapter 5, you see that they have got some problems, especially related to finances. Okay, Nehemiah is addressing this financial problem because possibly these people have, this talks about mortgages and loans and all that. It's like us, isn't it? our problems. But what is happening is some Jews, the wealthy were getting much wealthier, and the poor were getting poorer. So Nehemiah had to bring them in and say, look, guys, sort it out. You can't, keep taxing your brothers, who are helping to, build this wall terribly. So, you need to start, taking that out. And they listened to him, and it was restored. And, the financial issue was sorted out. Okay? Righto. And then we see about Nehemiah's generosity, how he made sure that he fed a lot of people and supported a lot of people. Okay, then Nehemiah 6, chapter 6, there is a plot to take out. So when God has given your assignment a call, often the enemy will try to take you out. He tried through all these different sources, discouragement. But now they are trying to, these same guys, Sambal Express, not Sambal Express, Sambalt and Tobiah, Geshem, the Arab, and, they are plotting and saying, come, let us meet together, chapter 6, among the villages in plain. They are asking him to come, but he knows that these guys, enemy will try to get you into his battleground. How many of you know there are religious sects here who want to get you into their court before an argument? See, God has given you a territory, a court, or place of influence. That is your area. If you step into the enemy's area, you will get wiped out. And Nehemiah understood this and made sure that he never went to wherever they were asking him to come. In fact, it's typical like everyday life. They accused him of trying to become a leader and a king, and they said, oh, look, the king is going to find out that you're trying to become a king over Jewish people, and you're securing the wall, and that's why you're doing all this. Come and let's discuss this, and we'll sort this out. There was no problem in the first place. But they create something so that you will want to clear your name. You won't want to go. I see so many people fall into this trap. Amen. Yeah. So verse 8, chapter 6, then I said to him, saying, no such thing as you say are being done, but you invent them in your own head, heart. For they all were trying to make us afraid, saying their hands will be weakened in the work and will not be done. Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. Okay? All that discouragement to get you out of your assignment. Amen. All right, we are jumping to verse 15. So the wall was finished on the 25th day of Elul in 52 days. You know, for 70 something years they were trying to build this wall. And they never got to finish it. God gives an assignment to Nehemiah. He comes with the assignment. He focuses on it and doesn't get distracted by the enemy's attack, and he finishes it in 52 days. Amen. This is a model that you can follow for your ministry. What is your calling? What God has put it in you. Amen.